Good afternoon. Mike Valenti on vacation. It is the Valenti and Rico show. I'm Stoney. He's Rico. Kenny Cott, the Hatchet Man. What's up, people? Everybody good?
What's going on, Stoney?
Not too much.
Welcome back. Day two.
Day two of 5. Put up with me for one day. We did okay. By the way, I do want to start the show by congratulating my daughter. I mentioned it was their birthdays yesterday, the twins, but my daughter, Jessica, I can see now she's a CPA. She passed her final part of the CPA exam, so way to go. That Michigan State education, baby. Started at Georgia for one semester and then went to Michigan State.
See, there it is.
That's right.
All right.
So,
Well,
anyway.
Georgia's a bunch of frauds.
They have a good business school, too, but she was only there for a semester. Anyway, last night, watching two definitely different kinds of basketball. I don't even have to really talk about the Michigan game. That was one of the worst college basketball games I ever saw. But the Detroit Pistons did it again, and Jalen Duren walking around with the one hand with 5, the other hand with 2, basically equaling 7 in a row. Let's not get too cocky because the Celtics are here tomorrow, but it's just nice to see them be a good team. The Clippers are a good team. Now, Kawhi didn't play, Norman Powell didn't play, but the Pistons, Jaden Ivey hasn't played for a while, so I don't hear injuries as much of an excuse, okay? The Pistons played a really good game last night, and there were times in the game where I thought, they're going to let this one slip away, but they hung together. Cade made another tremendous play, hustle, diving play, kept things going, and they are fun to watch. It seemed from watching on television, Rico, that LCA was kind of pumped up a little bit, little juice in the crowd.
Yes, it's starting to get there. I think people, Stoney, are slowly but surely coming on the bandwagon and saying, oh, okay, the Pistons, where it used to just be a joke, it used to be, they're winning. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, let me see you keep winning. And now they are that hot team. And, yeah, I think, man, now's the time. 7 in a row, nice. Next 2 games, measuring stick games.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, and then I'll let you set this up. Even if they go 0-2, I need to see what you do in that 0-2.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get blown out.
Right.
Don't show, hey, you know what? You didn't even belong on the court.
No.
Don't regress and go back to the days of old. Give me some fight.
Right.
Give me some punch. Let's see what we got. And
Right.
you're going to be at home. So for Pistons fans, this is the time.
Yeah, Celtics tomorrow night, and the Joker and Murray and the Denver Nuggets on Friday, Brooklyn on Saturday night. And we're not sitting here, because I agree with you, Rico. We're not sitting there saying, moral victory, they only lost by 4 points. No, when they play a good team, especially if Boston's going to play all their guys, you want to see some fight in them. Mm-hmm. And because Boston, obviously, they're really good, and they're playing really good right now, too.
I mean, I want to see what happens because, especially with Boston, because this is a team that you could possibly face in the playoffs. So let's see how you handle them. Let's see what type of defense. And this is a game, I'm looking at Cade. You're going up against some others, some real legit superstars. Mm-hmm. What's your game going to look like? Because I'm quite sure his teammates are going to be looking at him saying, all right, Cade, this is your time now. You want to do the MVP chants during the game, do something against Boston, do something against Denver, and then you can start chanting MVP.
Yeah, and look, he's been obviously, stating the obvious, terrific. I mean, the fact of the matter is he's shooting like 46% from the field, which, well, it's less than 50%. But for a guard, and he's taking more outside shots than he has in the past. He's making them. His assists, I believe, in the last 10 games, if I'm not mistaken, he has at least 7 assists in every game. He's getting his teammates involved. And the most important thing that I'm seeing from Cade Cunningham is he looks like he's a leader, and he embraces that role of being the guy.
Yeah.
And not everybody's like that.
No, and this is where you talked about Ivy. I like Ivy. I just don't know if these two could coexist because when Cade was out, Ivy was having some great games.
Yeah.
When Ivy goes out, Cade has great games. Stoney, yeah, it doesn't take a genius to kind of see maybe these two can't play together. But yes, the next 2 games, these are the measuring stick games. These are the ones that for people saying, well, you haven't played anybody. Okay, back-to-back games, one night off, both at home. Let me see what you could do. Top team in the East, one of the top teams in the West. Show me what you can do.
Yep, 248-539-9797.
To your point, Stoney, I just looked at it. Since the beginning of the year of 2025, January, Cade is averaging 9 assists a game.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had a game with 17 in there and 12 and 12 and 12 and 11. So he's really good so far since January.
Yeah. You know who else? I don't have the stats. You can look that up for me. Who's also played really well since January? Jalen Duren. I mean, it's not just he's finally figuring out a little bit. He's not perfect, obviously, where you sit there, well, maybe the Pistons need a rim protector. He's gotten a little better at that. He's rebounding the ball. Obviously, the alley-oop dunks are the spectacular and the passes from Cade. But even Jalen Duren making a lot of nice passes. Tobias Harris, who, people weren't that excited when they got him. And I said, all his foibles in Philly, the reason a lot of people in Philly didn't like him was because in the playoffs he'd come up really short, and then we don't have to worry about the playoffs here. Wrong, Stoney. You do have to worry about the playoffs, but he's been really good since the start of the year. He got off to a slow start. Obviously, the acquisitions of, Beasley and to a lesser extent Hardaway have been really good. And the young guns, especially Assur Thompson, Holland's been okay, but Thompson's been really good. Schroeder's been a really good pickup. I mean, the only guy on this team you could sit there and say, he's really not that good is Fontecchio. He hasn't done much. He's been a little disappointing. But other than that, I mean, Isaiah Stewart, who I was never a huge fan, he's really a guy that this team follows too. Hopefully he can keep all his emotions in check all the time, but he's balling out too right now.
See, but here's the thing, because you're right, they're all balling out, but is it because of what Cade is bringing?
Yeah, maybe.
What Cade is bringing to the court, because he literally can get anywhere he wants on the court to score or to pass the ball. Wherever he wants to get on that court is where he goes. They're not stopping him right now.
No.
It is amazing what he looks like. And while I'm not going to say MVP, there's a lot of people out there talking about MVP.
Look,
I wouldn't put him there, but he's playing really well. I mean, superstar?
I wouldn't call him a superstar yet, but he's trending that way. To me, to be a superstar in most, occasions in team sports, at least you have to me, win a playoff series. I mean, I know the actual award MVP is regular season, but when you're a superstar, you want to be able to be somebody you can sit there and say, yeah, he took this team on his back.
Yeah, I treat the superstar the same way I do the Hall of Fame. A superstar. If you got to convince me somebody's a superstar player, they're not a superstar player.
And it's still early. You can still turn into one.
Right, but if you sit there and say LeBron James, yeah, okay. Yeah, like certain guys, you're right, he is. No, well, if you look at his points average and you look at this and you look, he carries his team. Okay, the more you have to explain, the further away he is from a superstar. In my book.
You're exactly right. When you have to massage the conversation into, well, if you look at that, you're right.
It's like asking a GM about a defensive lineman.
We'll get to that a little later. But yeah, Cade Cunningham is turning into a superstar. I'm not going to call him a superstar yet. And I know it's semantics. He is a star. There's no doubt about it in my mind. He's a star. And then how much further? He's still freaking really young, and he still hasn't played that many games because of all the injuries he had. So he's only going to get better and better. We've seen his three-point shot improve measurably this season. His mid-range shot, is almost unstoppable because they're afraid to defend him too close because he goes around them so quickly, and he's been a much better finisher. But his mid-range shot has been really, really good as well. So, God, it's so fun to see.
It is, man. And I guess just watching some of the other pieces, because I always knew Cade had it in him. Man, like you said, when I'm looking at Assur Thompson, I'm like, wow. Okay. You're not what I thought you were going to be. I mean, especially since going back to about January 20th, like he's just starting to score and score. Now, yeah, he had a clunker against Dallas, but 11, 16, 16. He had 0 against the Cavs, but 10, 2, 12, 13, 12, 14, 16, 16, 19, 8, 14, 10 last night. Like, he's contributing. It's not just everybody stand here and let's watch Cade. It's, okay, let me see what I can do as well. So whether he gives it to you from rebounding or scoring, I like the fact that, or block shots, I like the fact that you're getting something from everybody. And it's working. It's almost like, basketball chaos. You got Cade, and then you got a bunch of other people who at any given time can get the job done.
Yep. 248-539-9797. Do I dare bring up the analogy that I got on Twitter last night? Now? Okay.
You can bring it up next.
All right. Somebody suggested that are we looking at with Assur Thompson, Dennis Rodman 2.0? Now, Rodman was not a really good outside shooter, if you remember. He ran the floor really, really well, like Assur Thompson does. Obviously, Dennis Rodman was a tremendous defender. He was, Defensive Player of the Year a couple of times. And Assur Thompson is trending that way on defense and the way he runs the floor and the dunks like Rodman did. Maybe they need, somebody else, like a cohort like Sally. I don't think, Ron Holland is that, or so to speak yet. But Assur Thompson, and hopefully he won't go cuckoo like Rodman, but, Assur Thompson, especially at his age, what's he, 20? Is he 20 years old, Assur Thompson?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I mean, it was a brilliant, he's turning into a really, really high-end player, a high-end defender.
He's 22.
He's 22?
22.
Okay. He's a little older than I thought, but certainly still really young. And I think, like Rodman, maybe not, go up against a 7'3" guy. I think he could defend anybody else, any position on the court. Like if they play, let's say hypothetically, they play the Knicks in the playoffs, right? I'd put him on Jalen Brunson and just tell him not to don't fall for the pump fakes. Other than that,
no. But I mean, with a guy like Assur Thompson, what you do is you just say you're not going to shut him down,
right?
Keep him below his average,
yes,
and we win.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't need you to score a ton of points, but if he's averaging 20 points a game, get him to 12.
Yeah. All right, 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. We hinted at Brad Holmes. He spoke today. We'll hear from him coming up a little later. Dan Campbell speaks at 3:30. We'll probably hear from him. All that stuff coming up on the Valenti Show with Rico. Me, Stoney, in for Valenti, 97 on the ticket.